boundaries are psychological demarcation that protects the of a person or an individual or a group. And it helps one person or a group at realistic limits in the participation of the relationships. So in a simpler word, it's a conceptual limit between an individual or groups. So if I do not define a boundary, if I do not define any boundary, it might be that people will violate it and interfere, or too much of their interrogation into my life will also affect me a lot. It is very difficult to, I understand in our household systems, in our country, in our culture, to maintain boundaries because we are not used to it. We haven't seen it. We are not used to it. So first things first, as I told you, first things first is that first you need to focus on self-care. Now, self-care is not selfish. It is essential. So you need to take out time for yourself. If you are taking out time for yourself, you are not able to concentrate and you realize that certain person, certain situation is not doing good to you, then you can make a boundary with that person or that situation and understand that your needs are more important at that point of time. So there is a certain prioritization of yourself in your household system, in your family system. So if you prioritize yourself, even if a little bit is there, then only you can establish those boundaries or feel the need to establish the boundaries. The right ways to establish a boundary is to first idealize that where you need to put a stop. So right way to, internalize the boundaries is to, understand what is important for you and what is not important for you. Then seek out the people who value you and, be firm and kind to yourself as well. Keep your expectations realistic and be willing to walk away from the situations or the people who are not good for your mental health. So this is a strict warning, right? Be direct and be assertive about your communication and take care of yourself while putting boundaries. There is a very good technique for that. To set up a boundary, usually you have to have a body language which is respectable as well as assertive. Then your physical behavior, mannerisms, and postures and facial expressions must take care of your physical aspect of being, firm about your own saying or being aware about your own feelings and mindfulness. And secondly, there is an exertive technique, which is like you have to put your things in front of them, no other nonsense with them without offending them. So you can only talk about your feelings while setting up the boundaries. So if somebody hurts me and I am like, I go into the explanation mode, do you really think that will help us out? No, that will not. So I'll just say that I am not liking this. That other person has to think that whatever they are doing to us is not right. So I am not liking this is the only assertive thing that I am going to keep in front of others. After setting the boundaries, you might be feeling, a little panicky or a little stressed or anxious because you're not used to it. When you're not used to it, so it's very awkward and, shameful for you to think about yourself. How can I do this? How can I think about myself? Isn't it selfish for me? So to cope up with that, you need to first prioritize yourself. You have to keep a checklist that I have to prioritize myself first. So when you give yourself priority or give yourself a thought, or you realize your feelings that I am also important. For that, what you can do is you can go in front of mirror and practice self-care and talk to yourself positively. So when you start talking positively to yourself, you gain confidence, because at times when we are unable to establish boundaries, we are not confident about ourselves. So to do that, despite of all the feelings that you are feeling because you're not used to it, remember that you can do it. You can set up the boundaries by feeling, by being kind to yourself. So be kind to yourself. You have to, when the person doesn't respect your boundaries and again poke you. So you have to decide whether this boundary is negotiable or not. If this boundary is non-negotiable, just stay away from that person. So, and write down what is happening at that time. Except that some people will always not respect you. So do you like everybody around you? The answer is no. So then it is not possible that everybody around you must like you. So this, people-pleasing attitude has to get out of it. And then practice loving detachment. You have to be detached to that person, first emotionally, then physically. And you have to respect yourself for that. Considering limiting contact or no contact scenario with them. Then only you can do when you're detached to them. The parents need to know that first they have to establish their boundaries. So if I take my example, if I want to go out somewhere with my friends, so I would first call my husband and ask him if he's not in the town that are you free or not? That's our first question when we communicate with each other, because we both are working, we both have been busy. So that's how we establish boundaries. And moreover, we have our me times. So I take out time every day, 1 hour to read, or I take out 1 hour every day to walk, and that is my me time. So when I focus on myself and respect my boundary, automatically the person in the relationship also respects that. And also they have their own me time or their boundary. So you can, as a parent, first you have to have boundaries for yourself, because your child is watching you all the time. Then only they can respect their own time. Tell them to read every day for 1 hour at least. Tell them to focus on any one activity for 1 hour at least. Tell them to focus on themselves so that they will be able to create a boundary for themselves.